Chapter 2 was all about production possibilities frontiers. In this chapter, you'll find the assigned practice problems at the end of the lecture. The first assigned problem was working with numbers and graphs, number 4. For questions 4 and 5, you're asked to look at a series of graphs labeled 1 through 4 and to choose the one that best fits the description of what's happening. So for example, in question 4, it says, which graph depicts a technological breakthrough in the production of good X only? Well, if there was a technological breakthrough in the production of good X only, it would help to produce more of good X. So the intercept along the x-axis would shift to the right. But the y-intercept wouldn't change at all because at the y-intercept you're only producing good Y. So a technological breakthrough in good X wouldn't have any impact on you if you're only producing good Y. So for that reason, the PPF kind of pivots outward with the same y-intercept but a new x-intercept that's to the right. And that's describing the graph shown in figure 3. Question 5 asks which graph represents the likely consequence of war, and I suggested in the assignment that you assume that the war is being fought on this country's soil, which means that the country would likely have lost a lot of people, the roads would be destroyed, a lot of buildings would be destroyed. In other words, there'd be a massive loss of resources, and that would shift the entire PPF inward toward the origin as depicted in graph number 2. For questions 6 and 7, you're asked to look at a different graph. This is a graph showing 3 different PPFs labeled PPF1, PPF2, and PPF3. Question 6 says, in the graph that follows, if PPF2 is the relevant PPF, then which points are unattainable? What it means by relevant PPF is that means that's the PPF that you're currently on. Points that are unattainable are points that lie to the right or beyond that PPF. So the labeled points that are beyond PPF2 are points J, I, and H. In question 7, you're looking at the same graph as question 6. It says if PPF1 is the relevant PPF, which points represent productive efficiency? Well, productive efficiency occurs along the PPF itself. So if we're currently on PPF1, the productive efficient points that are labeled are points A, B, and C. I've added an additional problem to give you some practice creating straight line PPFs. In this problem, you would put tables on one axis and chairs on the other. You can see the way I've drawn it, I put tables on the vertical axis and chairs on the horizontal axis, but it could have been reversed. The easiest way to approach a problem like this is to say, suppose that you spent all of your resources making one product, for example, the tables. If we did that, we could make a total of 2,000 tables, but then we wouldn't be making any chairs. So that would be our intercept on the tables axis, 2,000 tables, 0 chairs. And then conversely, if we spent all of our time making chairs, we could make 4,000 chairs. So there would be the intercept along the chair axis, 4,000 chairs, 0 tables. So that gives us our two extremes. And then if we just draw a straight line between those 2 points, it gives us the entire PPF, all of the options that are available to the person producing this product. If you have any questions about anything in these practice problems, go back and read the Chapter 2 textbook or lecture materials contained in the module number 1.